Cool. So how's your investment phase going so far?
Yeah, all going well so far. Yeah, I guess it's going by fairly quick. I did the shoot in end of November last year, consolidated through December, and then yeah, January the 1st was the official start date for the investment phase.
Oh, you were doing the opposite to everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Bulking when everyone else is trying to lose the Christmas fluff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been going well, and yeah, it's been obviously there was a bit of a weird time with training, moving from the gym to home, but just try to keep all kind of the principles the same. Kept trying to progress training, and focus on progressing wherever I was, and it's enabled me to have a really productive 8-9 months of it so far. And yeah, I'll be in it for another year and a half. I'd have thought now, but yeah, all going well and enjoying it.
How many cycles have you done of like real focused investment phases? Would you say over the
Uh,
years?
I would say this is definitely the most focused cycle I've done. I would say I've probably done one other. I mean, I've attempted to do others in the past, but I've maybe fallen down the hole a lot of people have of as soon as seeing a bit of body fat come on or getting excited for the next holiday or anything, pulling the plug early and then jumping back into a mini cut or a diet or something. So I think this will be the second time I've ever like really committed for a sustained period of time. But also, this is probably the one where I've been most aggressive with it and most focused on it as well. Made it more of a priority this time for sure.
By aggressive and focus, what does that mean?
So I think before I've allowed some body fat to come on, and as weights increase, but then being quite cautious of not really wanting to say goodbye to abs or not want to look to gain too much body fat. Whereas this time would be the first time I've really really just pushed things up a bit and just committed to the goal in 2 years rather than just now as well.
So how far away from your leanest are you, and at what rate have you gained that?
So in terms of on the scales, I'm just under 13 kilos up from my shoot weight. So I actually, from through my consolidation phase, I gained maybe a couple of kilos. Was very happy with that. Most successful consolidation phase I've had. And then I basically just started to ramp things up a little bit. And then I think about 3 months in, just decided to increase that rate of gain slightly as I was just getting more comfortable with it and wanting to push on. So this is the heaviest I've ever been, or if I have been at this weight, it's definitely not looked as good in the past. So yeah, it's new territory. When I'm stepping on the scales, I'm seeing numbers that I haven't seen for many a year anyway.
What's your body weight?
It was 82.7 this morning.
And what sort of condition? Like borderline or?
It's okay. I think it's one of those I can see a little bit, some outline of some abs. It's one of those I've said to my coach the other week. I think if I'd just been doing this myself, and as I have done previously, if I was seeing how I'm looking now, I'd have probably pull back, maybe gone into a mini cut. But having an objective set of eyes on you has just helped me, be able to just embrace the fluff, as we say, and just push on and try and make the most of this phase. It's one of those. I think it's really easy when you look at clients when you're objective to say you're in a great spot, keep going. When it's yourself, you start questioning things a little bit more, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's different when you with what you said with like the intentional gain. Some people might listen to this and thinking, well, he's put on like 13 kilos over the course of the year, but it's all intentional, right? You've purposely gained the weight, and I'm assuming your strength has gone up with it.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I think that's a massive difference. I think with the intention, because it's not like it's been mad binges or eating pizza every night or anything like that. It's just been a controlled increase to keep the scale moving as I wanted to be in line with my goals, but also to fuel performance, which is, as you said, has increased with that as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously with the training at home during lockdown and things, it was a slight blip, say, with training. Well, not even blip in terms of missing it, but just not being as consistent with the same lifts in the gym. But in terms of progress. I've been getting stronger throughout my investment phase continuously.
You said before you've had quite a few failed consolidations. Talk us through some of your experiences. I didn't know you'd also fallen into that rabbit hole as well.
Oh, I think I'm probably my after my first shoe is probably the definition of a terrible consolidation. I think I'd basically, during the process phase of the fat loss phase, put everything onto the photo shoot or the checkpoint as this golden day, and that my life's going to be sorted once I hit that day. I was when I was living in Dubai, so I kind of had my girlfriend moving out to Dubai on the same day, so I was just looking forward to it for basically 3 months, thinking she'll move out, do the shoot, life's going to be perfect. But ate loads of food that day, couldn't even sleep that night, felt so sick, and then you get up the next day and life's exactly the same. You might have abs, but nothing else has really changed necessarily. And I didn't have a plan to consolidate what I'd done or really what I'd learned through that process. And I just got into a really bad cycle of heavy restriction Monday to Friday, binging all weekend, telling myself I needed to change the next week, but just go back into heavy restriction again and just cycle through. That lasted a couple of months, and then it probably took me another few months to really just kind of get back to a good relationship with food, not being obsessed with the scale or how I was looking in the mirror and things like that. And to be honest, training was a massive part of getting me out of it, because I think the shift from looking at scales the whole my scale weight the whole time, or how I was looking in the mirror, and then just shifting my focus to training performance for a good few months, just allowed everything else to settle down. And then by virtue of that, everything else kind of cleared up, because I think it wasn't just such an obsession on those areas, really.
How did you feel mentally?
Oh, I was probably in the worst mental place I'd been in, for a long time, if not ever, probably. My anxiety was through the roof. I wasn't really sleeping much. And I was really stressed. I think I talked about it on the Facebook Lives, actually. I think I was aware that I was becoming just like an arsehole, really. I was really short with people. And I think, obviously as a trainer as well, you're telling clients to do something, but then, you're at the weekends going off and binging as well. So you probably have a bit of an imposter syndrome as well. And you also, I think, just start to question, like, is this just how life is going to be? I can't stop thinking about food the whole time. So yeah, I mean, getting back into kind of a normal, normal way of thinking about food, a good relationship again, and then putting that focus more into training really helped me pull me out and get my head back on track as well as my body.
Have you felt those sorts of symptoms and thoughts come back, or do you feel much more in control now?
No, to be honest, I haven't had any of those issues again. I don't know whether it was just needing to go through that and maybe just to scare me enough to not allow that to happen again. Mm-hmm. I did a diet the following year just before I went on holiday. Nothing as serious, but I was absolutely fine. And then did the shoot last year, and consolidation was a breeze, to be honest. I think just having learned so much from the previous times, I was able just to draw on those experiences, but I think also even just having the awareness, because I wasn't this time, I knew what consolidation phase was, I knew what I was trying to achieve. And though you read about reverse dieting and things, consolidation phase wasn't even on my radar that first time. It was all right, let's go and put some muscle on, but you need to, your appetite's all over the place, your head's all over the place a little bit at that point. You need to just kind of hold strong, let everything dust settle, and then move on once you're in a good place.
What were some of the steps you took to cultivate that level of self-awareness, so you understand how your body's feeling, your mind's feeling, and being in tune with what's going on inside?
I think this time actually, when I did my last diet, one of my main goals was actually that it didn't affect anyone else. I felt like when I was dieting last time, I felt, or that first photo shoot, almost like a bit of a victim, I think. I felt like, oh, this is so hard for me. I felt sorry for myself a lot of it, to be honest. And then I think it almost made me feel subconsciously as if I was allowed to be a bit of an arsehole to people and things. Whereas this time I really didn't want it to affect anyone. And I did the shoot 7 weeks after Ollie was born, my son was born. I did that as a big kind of accountability thing, just to keep me on track during that time. But I was also really aware that I couldn't afford to fall into that same trap, because my wife had just given birth. It was just me and her. Like, I needed to be functioning and be able to support them as well. So I talked to her a lot and made sure that I was pulling my weight, and I wanted her to be honest with me with how I was, which I think helped massively as well in terms of just making me more aware of how my mood was, and if I was still providing what I needed to in the other areas of my life.
Yeah, I've noticed that people that consolidate well and go through a process phase where it's not about it's about integrating their lifestyle. A lot of it's around internal versus external validation. So I've noticed that those that really struggle with consolidation are those that tied up so much of their self-worth and self-esteem into that checkpoint. And I think you alluded to that before.
Oh yeah.
You thought the checkpoint was your life, your whole life would change, right? But what people forget is that the checkpoint is actually very fleeting. Like, it happens and it's gone. And if you don't have a love for the journey of what the journey is, you can end up in a really debilitating and risky position, and feeling like in complete no man's land. And when you shift from external validation, so for yours, for example, it was the life will be amazing, your girlfriend's coming out, into internal validation, to wanting to, like you said, to wanting to be the best father and husband you could, then it just changes your whole approach to the cause. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts I've noticed in people that consolidate effectively and continue to make improvements over the course of their journey as they recycle it, and those that hit a checkpoint, fall off, and fall into that cycle of spinning their wheels.
Yeah, no, I think that sums out really well, because just you were saying that first shoot I was doing to help impress others, almost like from a professional standpoint as well as a personal standpoint. But the second time really was just me trying to challenge myself, and the mindsets were completely different. It was I got in better shape the second time. It was tough, don't get me wrong, but it was way easier in all aspects, definitely like emotionally and mentally, and consolidation was a dream compared to the other one that was a complete nightmare.
I remember in 2014, the story I always talk about is very similar to you, actually, in that I wrapped up the whole preparation in external validation of both professionally and personally. Like, I did it to almost show my colleagues, but also my clients, that I could do it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, it wasn't even about myself. It was like, oh yeah, if I do this, then my clients will be impressed, my colleagues will be impressed. But what I forgot is it's about myself, and an internal drive to want to push yourself to a new level. And that shift has made consolidations since way more easier.
Yeah, and I think you can branch that out from impressing fellow workers or anything, just the same as if you're just doing it for an Instagram photo or something like that, you might get a load of likes that one day, but then what happens next? There's only so many photos you can drop on Instagram until you dry up on them, and then it's what's next on there. And if you don't consolidate and all you're trying to do is just get those likes on Instagram, if you start then binging and going the other way, the last thing you want to put up is another photo in 2 weeks' time of you with a face like a balloon either, isn't it?
No. The funny thing is, those are the people that will actually do that. As in, they'll be binging behind the scenes, but they'll be posting their pictures to relive the moment and to
throw back every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, throw back to the shoot a month ago, throw back to the shoot 3 months ago. But that's living in external validation, and when your whole self-esteem is wrapped up in that, you're in a very slippery slope. And I think a big part of the investment phase, and those we see who succeed in it, is wanting to just improve from within. And it all starts from within, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I found actually this process phase, this investment phase has been so much more productive and easier for me just to stay patient with, I think, because it's been so process focused. I think overall I'm probably more process focused than, say, goal focused anyway. But I've just enjoyed just ticking the boxes each day so much, and just look forward just to that daily accomplishment of just getting everything I've done. That there hasn't been any issues with me wanting to look further ahead or getting impatient of when seeing changes or anything like that. I've just been enjoying just the process of just getting it done each day.
What are your daily tick boxes that you're trying to strive for each day?
So I have in terms of just like the real basics, I stick to a meal plan, which I won't deviate from. Then I'll get my training sessions in, my step target as well. Obviously, let's say steps and cardio and things are all much more reduced from when I'm in dieting, but I keep them in just to stay active. I know when I'm hitting them, I'm feeling good. Not only does that have an impact on my training, but also just mental clarity and work performance as well. And then I just have my investment rules as well, which I check in once a week with as well, which are based around separating home life and work life, and then just making sure that I'm in a good place mentally as well, just make sure I'm making room for stuff outside of work and training as well, which I found the more I've done that, the better my training and work has then gone as well.
Can you expand on that, the investment rules, and what you're sort of keeping yourself accountable towards?
So something that I guess suffered with would be the word really, but at the time I always thought it was a good quality, was never really shutting off from work, and feeling like I just always, if I felt like I was always working, it felt like I was doing well, or this is what I should be doing, whereas in reality I was on the whole time, but I could have got all of that stuff done and maybe potentially more if I just put it into a work block and just focused on it instead of having it always there the whole time. And I think, you do get a fair bit of work done, but it also just means you're never able to switch off from work, which obviously then impacts your life outside of work, but it also just means that you end up burning yourself out to the point that the quality of your work isn't as high either. So a big thing for me when we implemented the lifestyle rules was really just getting some clarity between life and then work life. Obviously, with us working online, it becomes very easy to become a grey area. I'm sure with loads of people who are now working at home as well because of lockdown, are going to experience in that as well. That separation from work and home just isn't the same because there isn't that physical difference anymore. So putting in some rules to make sure that they are separate. For me, it's things like closing the laptop by a certain time, not having my phone on me during work blocks, pausing my inbox outside work blocks, just putting in these physical barriers to stop me from working. Because I know at the beginning I was tempted to try and work when I wasn't in kind of a specific work block. I'd be, I don't know, out shopping with my wife. She went in to try on some clothes. I'd check my emails, and you're probably not even going to respond at that point. Or if you do, you shouldn't respond because you're not going to be in a good place to really concentrate on it. But you might read, sort of check in or someone's response, and then it's in your mind. Even if you don't respond, you're still out on that shopping trip, and all you're thinking is, "Oh, this person cheated on their diet," or blah blah blah. And it just burns away at you. So I think it's been absolutely massive for me. I was slightly, I think when they were first suggested, I thought, okay, these will be okay, but I don't think I fully realised how good and how much of an impact they were going to have on me. And it's been absolutely massive. The last, I'd say, 3 or 4 months, my ability to separate work and home life has just been increased so much. And with that, stress levels come down, anxiety has been much reduced. And then work performance is through the roof, as well as training. And I think I'm a better person to be around at home as well. I think it was a couple of months ago actually. My wife was like, "You're being really funny for some reason at the moment," or something like that. And I think it was just because I was just so much more chilled out. Yeah. I was just just being nicer to be around probably.
What are these rules then? You haven't actually given them away.
So I have my work ones are laptop closed by 5:15.
Is that in time with Ollie? Or is that just
so that was actually one that we had before. At the moment I've been doing it earlier because I've been having to go and pick him up. So this is one I could probably even pull back even earlier these days actually. There's no phone in my room when I'm in a work block, so I just can't get distracted by notifications coming through or anything. Pause my inbox during outside of work blocks just means even though I wanted to check my email, I couldn't access it anyway. And then there's some others also just based more around kind of family or having a life outside of work as well. So there's 2 unplugged family activities a week. There is listen to at least 1 non-fitness related podcast. There was, when I was living further away from my parents, it was to FaceTime them once a week. Now we've changed a little bit more to some rules around socializing because I've moved closer to family and friends recently. So we've just implemented some rules around think we've got at the moment, drink alcohol no more than twice a month. And then just some rules around eating over the weekends as well, just making sure I have a bit more flexibility, but I'm still hitting, say, protein at every meal, veggies at every meal, as well on there.
Amazing. That's yeah, I've noticed the change in you as well. So I think we're all kind of we've all seen it happen. With what your wife said about that, where do you think what is she so used to? Where's it come from? Like what have you changed from, and why?
I think I've always wanted to make sure that I was doing enough, and so I think especially when I was working for myself before as a trainer and things like that. So it's almost you're not working on a set time. You're not clocking in at 9 then leaving at 5. And so I've always just found that boundary of switching off hard. And I think not feeling productive. There's definitely been times when it's made me feel anxious if I'm not feeling like I'm accomplishing something or ticking something off a list. And that's probably been the case for like a good 10 years. And so that's just something I've always, and like at the time, I always thought it was a really positive thing because it allowed me to be more productive, get loads of stuff done. I just kind of saw it as almost like, I can work harder than others, or I can, accomplish more. But in reality, you can only do that for so long, and then you burn out or you just dip, and then, you crash. So, it's not a sustainable way to do it at all.
And what sparked the feeling of you're not doing enough?
So I had a session with Sharon.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I talked about with her. Basically saying, and she kind of brought out that it was a fear of failure. And that, yeah, I think maybe once if you go into the fitness industry and you're working for yourself, most people do fail. I think the average person lasts 2 or 3 years in the industry. So, that fear of not working hard enough or not doing well enough, and then, your career is just literally just going to end. So I think always having that in the back of my mind potentially just made me feel like I could never relax, and not that you want to relax or rest on your laurels, but you don't want to feel like you're constantly having to do something just to survive, I think.
And what's the shift been now then?
The shift now, I think, is just feeling something that Sharon talked to me a lot about, is just feeling like you are enough, I guess. But that's just brought to me just security, really. I think mentally, like I've got a good life. I'm happy in my family life. I'm happy with work. I'm enjoying that. I've got like training side of things are going well. So as much as I'm trying to push on and keep improving, I think it's knowing that everything is in a good place, and that if I'm not ticking a box every minute of every day, life isn't going to come crashing down, I think.
Yeah. By the way, I was smiling earlier because you said to me at the start of this week, you said to me yesterday, you're like, yes, there's podcasts when it's just normal talk and then all of a sudden it just goes deep.
I literally, I didn't even think we were going to go on that. I thought we'd just be talking about building muscle and stuff. And then it started twisting. I was like, oh, now brought out Sharon as well. I was thinking, this is definitely taking a turn.
Yeah, we started, just for the listeners, we started off air, we were talking, we will talk about muscle, we'll talk about training performance, and we got off on a whole different tangent.
Yeah.
But no, it's really interesting. I think this that's not uncommon in our industry, especially because we're in an industry which is living per session and wondering if someone's going to turn up and not turn up, and that chips away at you without even realizing, and subconsciously you develop that fear of exactly what you just said.
And I think when you start, it's all about just earning enough money to get by.
Yeah.
But then and I kind of thought, once I could do better and better, I'll feel better and better. But it didn't stop, because it almost like the better you get into even a financially secure or good position, in that industry, but you're still because there's nowhere really to go with it. You're kind of just thinking, I need to, I've been doing this for years, I need to just make sure I take the next step. And so I always felt like I needed to keep going, or that I wasn't happy with where I was at. I thought it would come with number of clients or money coming in, but it wasn't the case at all. Like I had periods when I was doing delivering 40 sessions a week, and I still had exactly the same thing. So it's the satisfaction in the work you're doing doesn't matter in terms of money or the number of clients or anything like that. It was just never going to give me that.
Where do you think that comes from in the industry? Is that just the way the setup is now, or?
Yeah, I think it's just the model of the industry. I think the way it's set up is to benefit either it's the setup. The setup is to benefit the gym owners or the health club owners. You can either go in self-employed and just pay them a set rent, and then you fight for yourself. If you have no clients at all, you still going to have to pay that rent, so they still get their money either way. Or you can go in and be employed, but they take a huge cut of your earnings. So again, they're doing well regardless, really. And there's nowhere really for you to go. I think day one, you go in as a trainer, and after 10 years, you can still be exactly the same role. And your success really is just determined by how full your diary is, really.
Yeah. And if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think I took that week off for my house move. And apart from, I took a week off to get married 2 years ago. That's the only, apart from that week I went off to get married. The week I took off recently was the only time I've taken a week off in many years. I can't remember the last time.
You didn't get a pay cut for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. You've talked about, one thing I really like what you mentioned is that you as a trainer, or as a person anyway, you get to a certain number of clients, you get to some of those sessions, money, and you realize that you just need to you end up just chasing more.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you realize that you had a purpose bigger than this? Yeah, go
on. I think I always knew that I wanted to do more, because I think before I became a trainer, I thought, that'd be really good. And then you start it, and then you see someone who's doing well in your gym, and you kind of maybe see that. But then as you climb up, I think I was always just a bit of is this it kind of feeling, maybe. I always felt there was something more that, I felt like I was capable of delivering more or doing more, but I just didn't know where it was. And I think that's because there isn't that career ladder laid out for you in the fitness industry, or there isn't a set or clear career path. So I was always really unsure. I knew I wanted more or to push on, but I didn't really know where. Like, management wasn't like a massive appeal to me or anything like that. And it wasn't really until, to be honest, I started with RNT that I realized how much of a potential impact I could have. And I think it's something that's only really grown as well. I think, you get people great results, or you see, they talk about how their life's changed and things. But I think it took a while for it even to sink in, and maybe even 6 months before I really realized how much of an impact we're having, but then also how much of a potential impact we can have moving forward as well. And I think that even hit me again during lockdown as well. Just how we were still able to help people and have such an impact. And then also, when we plan ahead to the years to come in as well, to think about the impact that we're going to have over the next 10 years plus years. That's when it's really hitting me more and more, to be honest.
What's your individual purpose now?
So I think we were discussing it in that team meeting the other day, weren't we? And for me, it just comes out, I just want to have an impact, and not in terms of, be a celebrity or, be everyone know my name or my face when I die or anything like that, but just to, when I do die, just to have changed the world in some way. And yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be like on Nelson Mandela scale or anything like that, but just to know that I've me being here has made a difference in a good way. And like I said, I think being a volunteer, it's really kind of hit me that this is something that I can excel at and create that impact with, or have that impact on the world with. So that's for me is really something that I wasn't even really aware of. I knew I wanted to create that impact, but I've just always questioned just how I can actually put that into action, I think.
When did that land for you?
I would say really 100% about 3 months ago. I think it's been building. And then it was during lockdown. I was like, there was a couple of testimonials that came through, because I think we get so many great results, but that not all of them always sink in the actual impact that you've had. And there was just a couple testimonials that came through that just hit me. I don't know whether it was just that day or what it was, but they just really connected with me. But I suddenly just realized, you know what, we're doing some amazing things actually.
What's been the way the physical has been the vehicle for you?
For me, I think it's been a way to give me some focus, I think, and some control. I think without control, I'm someone who can get anxious quite easily. And as soon as that anxiety comes up, then my headspace, starts to go, gets a bit more scatty, and performance in certain work or anything like that, it's just going to drop. But it just gives me something that I know I can always control, whether it is through diet or exercise or any of that. But that's something that whatever happens in life, say lockdown comes into place or anything like that, you're still in control. And knowing that I've got that anchor, I guess, as something that I can always control, just helps to calm that and just keep me in a good place mentally.
Is it something you've always suffered with, or had in the back burner?
Yeah, I think so. It's not something I've ever really, until more recently, maybe been aware that I was maybe suffering with it as much. But because for so long I always just saw it as a good thing, because it just meant that I couldn't relax as much. So it just meant I was always working more, or I kind of just saw it as a positive thing. But it wasn't really till I start connecting the dots with, say, getting burnt out or getting ill all the time and things like that, that I was just realized, actually there needs to be a bit more balance here and a bit of pulling back as well as pushing the whole time. But yeah, retrospectively, it's something that I've had for way longer than I've been aware of, for sure.
That's interesting, and it took lockdown to discover that.
I think it's the anxiety side of things. I think I was more and more aware over the last few years, but yeah, I think I definitely having moved when the gym's such a big anchor for you, or something like a coping mechanism in terms of stress and things. To have that removed and then have to then train at home and see how that changes things was definitely something that just highlighted it more. And it then also just really highlighted to me that as long as I was getting the training done, I was able to stay in that good place, and it didn't matter if I didn't have, the best machines or whatever. If I was in my living room with some adjustable dumbbells, as long as I was taking myself to that place mentally, then it was still going to give me that same psychological benefit.
Yeah. On the topic of finding your purpose this year, like how important is it for trainers and people overall to have a deeper purpose that goes beyond just themselves and physical, tangible elements of life?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of trainers, as in
talk for trainers, because I'm sure you have more. You can relate to that a lot more.
I think
you've been through the ringer in the industry, haven't you?
Yeah, I think without that greater purpose, what you're looking for is you are just working purely on that physical level, and you are just you're working just for a before or an after photo, or a post that you can then publicize your business with on Instagram, and you're not going to dig deeper and see how you can truly help these people. You might get them abs for their holiday, or get them to drop a couple of dress sizes, which they're going to love and be happy with. But if you don't go deeper than that and really get to kind of the muck that got them there in the first place to help them keep it off, then you're not going to change their life. You're just going to change those 3 months for them potentially. Which again, for the client, it's going to be massively different. But also, if you're doing this every day as a job, you want to have a job that makes you feel fulfilled as well. There's, after a while, just seeing someone get abs it's not going to be as exciting again and again if that's all it is.
Yeah, it's got to go more. It's got to be. You've got to have a real desire to transform and be able to deliver a service that's entirely driven for the client to achieve what they want.
Yeah.
And it's so sorely lacking, isn't it, in our industry? Yeah,
no, exactly. And I think when we've talked about the 7 faces before as well, to be a trainer on paper, you just have to have the trainer face. And I think that lack of the other 6 faces as well just sums that up, because you just, without those faces, you aren't equipped to give them that full transformation.
Would you say it's actually that trainers and coaches overall, just lack belief in a journey and lack the conviction that them being real and in line with a journey is what can deliver it for a client. But because they're so selfishly oriented, they only keep that focus on, like you said, the after pick or getting another client, etc. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, no, you're. I think as one half, I think is maybe the trainer focusing too much on that, but I think it also maybe that is almost a product of the industry, because unless you're giving the client tangible results and projecting tangible results to other potential clients, which is going to come via before and after photos, I think, clients and potentially yourself question the worth or the value of what you're providing. And it's a lot harder to sell the intangibles, such as, say, the lifestyle rules that I've been implementing now, one with clients, but also, say, just with myself. I can talk about them here, but you can't put a photo up that people are going to stop when they're flicking through Instagram and be like, whoa, he's turning his phone off at this time of night. Like, no one's going to be impressed with that, are they? But ultimately, that's the kind of thing that then has the knock-on effect to really improving their life. And so I think it's also just a part of trainers not having the security to be able to then, work on these intangibles, because they're constantly having to try and produce tangible results to justify, people.
Do you feel like there's too much cloudiness to be able to even see the intangible for them? Because you can't see the intangible, you can't project it, you can only feel it. You can give it in a certain way, but it's only received through a feeling and a state, right? It's not. It's not like
exactly.
Have this or do this.
I think also, when you're taught to be a trainer, it's all about the physical training. And if you think about, there's obviously rest periods between exercise and things. There is opportunity, but there is very little introspection from the client during a session. So although you're kind of getting that physical training and you might deliver a brilliant session on paper, unless you're in loads of contact with the client outside of those sessions, you're not giving them a chance to introspect on the other areas of their life to then, gain that awareness and make the other changes that are so necessary. It's almost like, we talk about introspection plus action equals the transformation. You're throwing this action at them for 3 hours a week in the gym, but there's no introspection to then match that to really, create that full transformation.
Yeah, action alone just leads to spinning your wheels, but so does introspection alone. You just need both, right? And we're constantly finding a balance between the two in order to facilitate someone moving forward. Yeah,
no, exactly. And I think that's where it's something that could definitely happen on the gym floor, because there is time to talk and things between rest periods, and but I think there's obviously so much focus on the physical gym session that I think that side doesn't get neglected potentially as well.
What are some of your introspective practices?
For myself personally?
Yeah, for yourself, that you do on a daily weekly basis.
So I guess like the most formal would be my check-ins. So I'm obviously checking in with those lifestyle rules, which gives it a structure. But I think also just checking in general, it gives you a chance just to review the week as a whole. So other areas may come up, or other issues you've had, which may then facilitate putting in another rule, or it may just facilitate a conversation with your coach so you can dive in a little bit deeper on. I also every morning just get up as I'm getting ready, just think, I guess it would be, maybe if you categorize it, would be called gratefulness, but I try and think of some things that I'm grateful for, or that I guess be grateful for what I have. I then try and think of a couple of things that I should improve on, that I haven't done well. If I was, slightly short with someone or anything like that, anything that I think, I haven't done as well as I should have done over the past 24 hours. And then I just think about how I want this day to be. So how I need to be over the next day. And for me, I do the same thing every day. So it's I'm in a good routine with it, but it's quite informal. I'm not sitting there and writing it down, to be honest. I'm doing it as I'm brushing my teeth and things like that.
Okay.
But I find that I think there could maybe be more benefit from sitting down and blocking it out. But I also find at the moment, once I get up, I just want to get going with the day, as I've always struggled to commit to doing something like that. I found this has kind of been that middle ground where I can be introspective, but also consistent with it as well.
I think that's the key, isn't it? It's consistent introspection. People always ask me, how do you journal? When do you journal? I'm like, in all honesty, I just do it for about 2-3 minutes in the morning before I start my work. It sits on my laptop all day. And literally before I turn on the laptop, I just write a couple of lines. And I'm not writing the Magna Carta every day. I'm just literally writing about 3 to 5 lines. And it's actually very, very similar to what you just said. It's like an awareness of where you're at right now, anything you could improve on, anything you've got coming up, and just sort of just checking in with your body. I think people do that with meditation as well, don't they? It's another thing that I personally haven't. I don't practice meditation, but I find it in different ways. And I think you all have our way that we can introspect in a certain way and really connect to our body and being, and see what's happening, almost like from an objective point of view. Yeah,
and I think there's so many good ways out, and like you say, meditation, journaling, all these things. I think so often people get caught up on which is better rather than just which they can commit to on a consistent basis. Because it's just like a gym program or a diet plan. It's better to have something realistically you're going to be consistent with than this perfect thing that you're going to do once every 5 days.
Yeah, exactly. Shifting gears into back into your investment phase again. What are some of your checkpoints you're using, or are you using any checkpoints, or are you just staying completely in the intangible here?
To be honest, I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was setting some goals for one of my clients, and I haven't been using any tangible goals, to be honest.
Interesting, yeah.
And I was thinking about it because I was thinking, some clients love it, and I think need those numbers to keep wanting to push towards. But I was saying, I've been so process focused during this investment phase. I was thinking, should I put some numbers in place? And I just thought, it wouldn't change anything for me. If I knew I had to, add 20 kilos to leg press or whatever in the next 3 months, or whatever it is, it wouldn't be the determining factor whether I turn up to the gym every session or not. It wouldn't be a determining factor whether I went for that last rep or not. It would just be something that I write on a piece of paper. And for me, I kind of in a point where every set I'm going at, I'm looking at my logbook from the previous session. I'm trying to beat it. If I do, brilliant. If not, I'll reassess and go again the next time. So for me at the moment, the goals wouldn't add anything, I think, at the moment for me. That's not to say that it's bad to have goals. I know some people definitely need them, but I've just been enjoying just turning up, trying to beat last session each time. And I've been loving this phase. Just enjoying it for just what it is each session and each day.
Do you think that's the ideal investment phase? Because I personally think that would be the optimal way of doing it, in that you don't need tangible numbers to drive yourself towards. What you need is to fall in love with that intangible process and let the weekly cycles of introspection and action, like even there you just mentioned, you introspect on what the numbers were, you act on it, see if you beat it. If you do, great. If you don't, okay, introspect again. What happened? How do we improve it? And through that cycle, you'll constantly improve. But it's understanding that it's not going to be like you're not going to reach a specific moment at any point and think, oh wow, I'm here. It's just a gradual sort of improvement process along the way. That would be the ideal investment phase, right? For whether you're a muscle builder or your lifestyle solution.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree. And I think instead of being on a plan because you have to hit this goal, and it's a bit like, say, having the checkpoint for the fat loss or anything like that. Once you're in investment phase, you don't want to have to keep only sticking to a plan to hit your squat or whatever it is in terms of lifestyle. You want to stick to the plan because that's just what you want to do and that's what you like to do, and that's how you function at your best. Whether I did hit that target on whatever lift in 3 months' time, as long as I've gone into the gym and given that lift my all each session, I know I'm going to finish each set, maybe knackered but feeling amazing. It's going to set me up for the rest of my day feeling great. And whether I hit that target or I'm 2.5 kilos under it or I beat it by a week is almost just irrelevant, because I know that number is going to come, whether it's 3 months or 3.5 months is irrelevant, really, I think.
Or 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it was Ivan who said the other day, he's like, would you still train if you didn't make any progress. I was like, absolutely. Like I still train, I still take care of myself. Like the progress in the gym or the aesthetic ones aren't really the reasons why we do this. It's for everything else. It's what it allows you to do. It's the vehicle, right?
Yeah, and actually, because I know you and Ivan both said yes immediately on that, and I remember I kind of sat there and just questioned it a little bit in my head. I thought, would I? And then I thought about everything else that it's then like almost a precursor for.
Yeah.
And like, without a doubt, I would. I think you're obviously so motivated going into that set, each set at the thought of making that improvement. But reality that, that isn't the only reason, that isn't the only benefit you're actually getting from it at all. And yeah, even just like the feeling great for the rest of the day, the productivity of your work, everything is just all spirals from that.
Well, the answer you gave before that, it was pretty much summed that up anyway, right? It's that you just care about the process of it. And when you do hit a PR, it's like, it's a very fleeting. If you wrap everything up in that PR, it's great for a minute, but after that, it's like, okay, well, then what?
Yeah.
You've got to have that love for the journey.
And I think
it's not to discount them either, by the way. Like they are very useful to have, and they're good at driving and anchoring you towards the right place, but they should never be the sole focus.
Yeah. And I think that's where I've not even gone wrong in the past, but I used to do so many of these squat programs where it was, you do like this many weeks and then you have like your deload and then you'll do a test week.
That's one of.
Yeah, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I did loads of these. I used to do a bit of Olympic lifting, like Catalyst Athletics. I used to have loads of different squat cycles and things. But it's almost like what I did with that checkpoint before the unsuccessful consolidation. You just put the next 12 weeks, instead of just enjoying the process or focusing on the process of the diet or the training, you just look ahead at the checkpoint of the test week or the photo shoot, and you hang everything on that. Yeah. And I had times before I trained for 12 weeks, and then I remember one time I got sick in the week in the lead up, did the test in my back squat, could barely breathe, I was so bunged up and stuff, didn't PB, and then just thought, oh, that was a complete waste of 3 months. Where it's like, it's not at all, is it? But it's when you're just focused so much on that test week or that photo shoot or whatever, and just not really and having a goal is important, but I think learning to love the process is such a big part of it as well.
Yeah, when you love the process and the journey, you learn so much more about yourself as well along the way. And while it won't be a tangible sort of checkpoint, what you'll slowly become is a completely new person, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think once you're loving the process, you're not then seeing it as being on and off, I'm being good or I'm on my diet, or it's just, this is life. And I'm not saying like every day is going to be perfect or there aren't going to be like off-plan meals or anything like that, but you just view it as life. And it's not like I'm on my 12-week thing now, or actually now I'm off because I'm on holiday. It's like you're just doing what you do. That's just who you are.
Amazing. I think it's the perfect way to end this as well. Thanks for coming on, Ed.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.